What's up, people? I'm Shaggy, the opinionated hippie, and this is part 23 of my ranking and reviewing Frank Zappa's guitar solos within the context of an album. So I've done 22 other albums. What I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about the guitar solos on this album, One Size Fits All. Then I'll show you how this album ranks guitar solos only compared to the other 22 that I've already ranked. And then I'm going to continue on until I run out of guitar solos to rank. One size fits all. We're in sort of a 73, 74, 75 era right here. Came out in 75. The band is essentially the 74. Fall 74, magnificent band. This album. I'm trying to stay in this area, kind of wrap up all of the solos in this area, which means got a big one coming up soon. But anyways, one size fits all. 5 guitar solos. I'm just going to rank them from my favorite to my least favorite, 5 to 1. And then at the end, I'll put it on the screen. And then so you can see the list. And then I'll show you where this falls among the other 22 that I've done. Not going in any particular order on these. Since I did just do like Overnight Sensation and Apostrophe and Crux of the Biscuit, thought we would kind of wrap up this era. Might do one more that is somewhat representative of this era. Actually, I am going to. Never mind. Anyways, on to these solos. Number 5, Can't Afford No Shoes. I have been very vocal about the fact that I do not like this song. I think it doesn't ruin, but it takes One Size Fits All from a top 10 album to a number 11 album for me. I just that song bothers me. I do not know why. The solo is one of 2 solos on here that Frank is using his fretless guitar to play solo, and just the sound of the fretless, it doesn't add much to the song. It makes the solo almost seem kind of just filler, like it's there to be there. Can't say there's anything else really happening. Really short, not much in this case. My 5th favorite out of these 5. Number 4, San Bernardino, the second of the fretless guitar solos. So again, the sound, there's not much to the sound, doesn't really add much. The solo itself kind of seems lost in the mix a little bit just because there's so much going on in the middle of this song. The solo's just kind of there amongst everything else, amongst the chaos. I don't really think it's there to like be a solo as much as it's there to like propel the energy of this song from like the first half toward the awesome second half, awesome first half, also awesome second half. But the solo itself doesn't do anything. San Bernardino. That's my number 4. Number 3 is Andy. It's a weird solo. It sits weird in the mix also. Kind of, it seems like it's a little like reserved or far back. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just the tone of Frank's guitar. Love the opening notes, the way these solos start off with that doo-doo-doo, like that phrase that he would kind of lean into almost anytime he would solo. It's almost like the diving board into the solo. Way too short, the studio version of this, the solo on this. Just way too short. Love the little vamp, love the little pocket that it sits in on the song. But it just seems to be mixed a little bit weird, and it's just way too short. So pretty much when we get to like the ranking of the album, the reason it falls as low as it does is because 60% of the solos are just kind of there to be there and don't offer much. The 3 solos I've talked about. The other 2 solos, however, are absolutely fantastic, must-hear solos. Number 2 is Pajama People. This is just an exhilarating, 3+ minutes. I think it's like 3:15 or 3:20 of soloing right in the middle of this weird, funky little Pajama People number. And it reminds me of I don't know if anybody out there watches mountain biking, like mountain bike racing in particular, like when they're just like going downhill on these tiny little runs. And it's definitely sort of a race from one place to another. And Frank has a lot of solos where it just feels like he's just trying to get from point A to point B as quickly as possible, just tearing off all these licks and stuff. And just like, it's a race. This kind of feels like that, but there's a lot of style in the race. And there's like moments where you're like, oh, he could have taken this line or he could have taken this line, but he took this line, and either ends up in the same place. There's a lot of like, if you watch mountain bike racing, yeah, they're going from like the top to the bottom, but there's different lines, and sometimes they're getting air. Sometimes they got to do a whole bunch of cutbacks. But the pace is exhilarating at every point in time. And that's the way I feel about this solo. It is this just exhilarating nonstop pace for like 3+ minutes, but there are so many tiny little nuances in it, so many different flavors, so many like quick little excursions where he's going this way or that way. Just an absolutely just breathtakingly awesome solo. Of course, George Duke is there every once in a while, jumping in with some great piano fills. The rhythm section, Tom Fowler and Chester Thompson are ridiculous. Like, I mean, the band, it's an incredible, just full on band bringing its best. Amazing, amazing solo. My number 2, Pajama People. And the number 1, I would argue, could be one of the best solos Frank has ever played, ever released. It is the Inca Road solo. It is a perfect solo, if you ask me. It is so perfect that this is the edited version of the solo. The full-length solo, if you want to hear what it sounds like without tiny little edits, like 5 seconds here, maybe 15, 20 seconds there, bunch of tiny little edits throughout that definitely shorten it quite a bit. More like just little connective ideas that take us from one sort of area of exploration to another. But it's the Inca Road solo. Obviously, you can hear the full thing on You Can't Do That on Stage Anymore, Volume 2, the Helsinki concert, though it's more than one show. It's just a perfect solo. Like, this is like Frank, like, having a conversation, like that opening riff to start off the solo is just so great, hooks you in, like it takes time to develop. It's like not really simmering in the beginning, but it's definitely a low boil, and then the boil just gets more intense, and the rhythm section is doing absolutely their best job possible supporting Frank. Like, everything comes together. It feels epic. It feels like you're watching, and like, being that the song's about aliens landing, it almost feels like you're standing on top of the mountains, the Andes, and you're watching the alien ships enter the atmosphere and come down and land, and then they're coming out to talk to you. Like, there's an entire story in this epic, epic guitar solo. It's one of those where Frank's taking his time. There are moments of intensity, but then there are moments of restraint, and like, he has so many different ideas he's working with, and the band is responding so perfectly, and sometimes he's feeding off them and sometimes he's feeding them, and it's just, it's one of those perfect 10 creation solos that Frank created live on the spot one night in Helsinki. Just phenomenal. In a perfect solo, Inca Roads. So yeah, but that's it right there. Those are the 5 solos on One Size Fits All. That's how I would rank them. 2 of them I would say are must-hears. Pajama People and Inca Roads are solos you have to hear if you're a guitar solo fan. The other 3 are just kind of there to serve their purpose. San Bernardino live even would never really do much. Can't Afford No Shoes, I think was only played once live, the Ralphie Stuffs His Shoes version. And then Andy would have some pretty good live moments, like in 80 especially. There were some pretty interesting solos. Even in 88, there were some interesting solos. But yeah, but Andy definitely here, I think, is a little bit of a disappointment. But where would I rank that? I would rank it right there. Again, falls to number 13, just as Crux of the Biscuit did. Which seems weird, right? Because it is 2 absolutely fantastic solos. But I think Roxy and Elsewhere, I put a little bit higher because it's got those 2 great May 74 solos. The Penguin solo is pretty good. Even the Don't You Ever Wash That Thing solo jam is pretty good. Make a Jazz Noise here has the Fire in Chains, has the Star Wars Won't Work, has the Black Page #2 New Age version. It has more better solos. So being that this only has 2 and that 60% of them are just kind of filler, it falls to number 13. The album itself, amongst everything released, the 55 released, is at 11. So the album itself, I think, much higher of, but just based on the solos. And everything in red on the list is the stuff that was released while Frank was alive. Everything in black is the stuff that was released while he wasn't alive. So if you took out the stuff that was released after he died, this would be at number 10. So it still hasn't made it, but still. Anyways, I'm rambling. But that's it. Thanks for watching. Let me know what your favorite solos on this are. It better either be Pajama People or Inca Roads. I'm going to be really interested if anybody... I'm going to be really intrigued if anybody picks one of those other three. Though the Andy is interesting, it's just super duper duper short. But anyways, thanks for watching. Subscribe, like, leave a comment, and go listen to the best, one of the best, most perfect solos ever. Inca Roads. Peace. Talk to you later.